Hi folks, Puffin here with your Antifa News Briefa for September 30th, 2021. Gabby Petito is a girl who was killed by her Trumper incel terrorist boyfriend. News media has been eating this story up, just covering it constantly. One aspect of that is some other missing people stories have been reported, like I've at least seen one here in Denver, where a family who was missing a family member for weeks was offended by the fact that this other story was getting so much coverage when they were still searching for the body of Gabby Petito. I think that's how they say her name. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. But they were offended by seeing so much coverage of that. And so they got their story at least in the news, and therefore, in the news, getting their story on the news got the police to at least, put her on a list or something of people to look for. So hopefully that's been happening for other people too. Sad as it is, other people who are missing or missing people who are being neglected and ignored by the police maybe are getting some media attention as a byproduct of all the Gabby Petito attention. But the Gabby Petito attention is a whole lot of hype, which, will happen for, any type of news story. You could say that this hype is anybody can make a conspiracy about how this hype is to distract from this story or to distract from that story. You could go to the left or the right saying they're trying to distract from these other stories with the Gabby Petito coverage. It seems to have died down a little bit now because they have found her body and now they're searching for her boyfriend. I want to point out that the boyfriend being able to get away as much as he could is, huge example of white privilege and Trumper privilege, this type of thing, where same thing as the January 6th Trumpsurrectionists, they're all given petty charges and let back out, or let's let them get a head start, or let's act like we're only looking at him for a credit card charge or whatever. Obviously a person of interest, but suspect, they're hesitant to say. Now that they found her remains and they know it's a murder, yeah, of course he's the suspect. And, they're this far behind in the manhunt. It also brings in issues of, is the FBI actually investigating things? Are they helping a certain network of terrorists get away with things? The Trumper incel terrorists. The reason I keep calling this guy a Trumper incel, like I said, I haven't been paying attention. I only know this intuitively because everything that he did fits a pattern of Trumper incel terrorists that I've seen personally making their comments on Facebook and Final Fantasy video game and YouTube and all over the place about, especially Facebook, about specific comments about how they try to lure women in and kill them. I saw Arizona police officer, I think, did this to a girl from Boston, lured her in, killed her in the mountains. They do this as a terrorist, anti-woman thing because they're terrorists, they're Trumper terrorists. And we need to go ahead and take that cell down. You can track some of them in the comments of my videos, or just any, it's the same network as Trumpers. It's the KKK. It's the KGB assisting them. So it's kind of it's become a global network of trolls, for one thing, assisting this network online. But, the places where they have to look for where they can get their safe zones for their terrorist speech because any responsible platform will ban them. But, most of these platforms, these major platforms, Facebook is in league with them. So Facebook's not banning them at all. Facebook is promoting them. But even YouTube, hasn't banned enough of these channels or profiles or whatever, the people leaving Trumper terrorist comments. And basically you can just, sum it all right up. It's people spread any Trumper propaganda, they're terrorists because all of that propaganda is terrorism. We're going to cut it out. We're going to root it out, but we have to call it out first. And I think all the coverage of Gabby Petito will eventually backfire on them because they do like anything sensational like that. It's going to highlight this network of terrorists who turn out to be the same as the Trumper terrorists. So all that attention is going to ultimately backfire on the Trumpers who are trying to distract from whatever, but also because they're the ones guilty for all this anti-woman terrorist mentality.